I'm really proud to be here. Such a big club, and I'm really looking forward to get started. I hope it's going to be a successful season, and I'll give everything I've got for this club.
Harry Maguire, one of the most, maybe the most hated player in the history of football. I don't think I've actually seen a footballer get as much hate as this guy. And having recently been called up to the England squad again for the Euros qualifiers, this has caused some controversy, let's say, with Maguire being in the spotlight again for the wrong reasons, with many people taking to social media to question why Maguire has been picked again by Southgate, when there are arguably better defenders who actually play for their club, as the last time Maguire played for United was God knows how long ago, and which to be honest is sad to hear considering that a few years ago this guy was once seen as a top player, with potential to become one of the best defenders in the Prem, whilst at Leicester, to now becoming essentially a global meme all over social media, with football pundits, fans and even politicians mocking him.
Mr. Speaker, when even the opponents fail to score, Maguire will score for them.
But this kind of hatred and mockery doesn't just come about overnight. So, in this video, we're going to be uncovering the mystery as to how Maguire ended up here, and how he became one of the most hated players in the history of football. Oh yeah, make sure to like and subscribe as well. Thanks. Harry Maguire was born and raised in Sheffield, England, and was pretty much born into football, coming from a football family, being raised by his dad who played football at amateur level, as well as growing up alongside his two brothers who would eventually go on to become pro footballers. So obviously the football genetics were always there. By the time Maguire was 7, he had already made his way into academy football, after being signed to Sheffield United. And like many other footballers at academy level, Maguire wasn't used in his normal position straight away, as he was firstly used as a centre mid, which I guess you can see in his play style, as Maguire is notable for his ability to carry the ball from the back into the midfield, helping his team progress the ball. But by the time Maguire was 16, there was a change in plan, after being converted to centre-back, which is obviously where he plays today. And by the time he's 18, Maguire ends up signing his first pro contract at the Blades, and was given his senior debut against Cardiff, where he impressed many by getting man of the match in his first ever game. And despite Sheffield being relegated from the Championship that season, those at Sheffield knew they had a talent on their hands, with Maguire quickly cementing himself as Sheffield's first choice centre-back, which even saw him get a spot in League One's Team of the Year 3 years in a row, as well as winning Sheffield United's Player of the Year 3 seasons in a row. And so by this point, Maguire is on the radar for many clubs around England, and would eventually sign to Hull City for a fee of £2.5 million, where he joined the likes of current Liverpool left-back Andy Robertson. But Maguire was almost immediately sent on loan to the Championship at Wigan in order to get some minutes. And Maguire did fairly well at Wigan, continuing to show his defensive ability and physical prowess, which eventually earned him a spot in the starting 11 at Hull, who had just been promoted back to the Premier League for the 16-17 season. And during that season, Maguire kept a good defensive consistency for the Tigers, earning him Hull's Player of the Year. But unfortunately, Maguire's efforts weren't enough, and eventually Hull would end up being relegated, finishing 18th place with 34 points. But to be honest, despite them getting relegated, Maguire was one of the positives to take out of a poor season. And like with many relegated clubs in England, the bigger clubs are always swooping in for their best players. And in June 2017, Maguire made his first big move to Leicester for £17 million, who, bear in mind, just won the Premier League 2 seasons prior. So this was obviously a big jump, but in fairness, he took no time adjusting, making his debut in a 4-3 loss against Arsenal, and even scored his first goal for the Foxes a week later in a 2-0 win over Brighton. And the Englishman ended up playing every single minute of that season, showing sound defensive ability and consistent performances all year round, as well as showing his ability on the ball, which I mentioned earlier, as Maguire was able to burst into midfield in order to help progress play, often beating players in the process, as well as being able to play the ball comfortably from the centre of defence, being able to pick out players in attack. And with his excellent second season in the Premier League, it was time for Maguire to make another big leap, this time in football's biggest competition in the world, the World Cup, as Maguire made the squad for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. And if you're an England fan, like me,
Come on, England!
you'll definitely agree when I say Maguire had a very good tournament and showed no signs of crumbling under pressure, with Maguire even getting his first goal for England in the quarter-finals against Sweden, and had a successful tournament with England, getting all the way to the semi-finals where they were eventually knocked out by Croatia. So from League One all the way to the World Cup, Maguire is absolutely balling for club and country, which obviously means interest from big clubs. And well, you know what happens next. As in July 2019, Maguire officially became the most expensive defender in the history of football, after Virgil van Dijk, signing for Man United for a fee of $80 million, earning up to $190k a week, despite interest from rivals Man City. And I mean, from then on the rest is just chaos. Where do I even start? As despite United finishing third in his first season, Maguire wasn't great, making the odd mistake here and there, and in the seasons to come things just became progressively worse with Maguire, being exposed defensively multiple times, as well as making various mistakes and just having some really poor games. And to be honest, nowadays, if you type in Maguire on YouTube, 90% of the time your results will just be filled with fail comps or memes or whatever. And to make matters worse, Maguire and his brother Joe were involved in an altercation whilst on holiday with local police officers in Greece, and was eventually found guilty of aggravated assault and attempted bribery, and was given a sentence of 21 months in prison. However, this has been suspended ever since. But all of this just added even more fuel to the flame for his personal reputation. And nowadays, Maguire has absolutely no place in Ten Hag's United squad, with him being pretty much the 5th choice centre-back. Because to be honest, Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Varane all start ahead of it, which is so weird considering literally only a few years ago, this guy was the most expensive defender on the planet and United's captain, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and is now probably the most hated player on the planet. And to be honest, it's really difficult to work out what went wrong with this guy, with many people arguing it's maybe the tactical thing, considering United have chopped and changed so many managers in recent years, who all have pretty much polar opposite tactics. For example, during Solskjaer's time at United, he was known for playing a low block, with the intention of hitting teams on the counter. But to be honest, when the likes of Ralf Rangnick and Ten Hag came in, United started to play a more aggressive style of football, with a much higher line, which doesn't really suit Maguire's skill set, as he isn't really that fast to get back if a ball is played over, and he's not really the most agile of players anyway. Or to be honest, maybe it's just a confidence thing, because listen, when you're the most expensive defender of all time, playing in the Prem for one of the biggest clubs in the world, there are obviously big expectations that come with that, and even if you put one foot wrong, people will be onto you straight away. I mean, just look what's happening with Caicedo right now. And to be honest, with all the hate and the mockery that this guy gets, it's not really surprising that he's probably low on confidence. And like I said at the start of this video, he still actually does get into the England squad, and I mean, in my opinion, Maguire is actually decent when he plays for England. So maybe it's just a United thing, who knows? But to be honest, this kind of thing happens in football all the time, which is why you should check out this video here about the rise and fall of Emery Moore. But yeah, drop a comment, tell me your thoughts on Maguire. Can he revive his career? I know he's recently been linked with a move to West Ham. Who knows, maybe that could work out. Or is it completely over? Let me know. And if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. This has been Discussing Ball.